Yeah. We got fortressing our dwarves. An evening of dwarf fortressing. We are Crowframe tonight. Well, I think I'll leave my arm here for now. Unless we end up with some issues. Ooh. Bum, 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 bum. I can minimize that for now. Ugh. Okay. Oh, hopefully it's not going to crash. It did, though. Let's see. I can close this tab for now. I don't need this. See if I can adjust some things here real quick. Okay, let's try that again. OBS did drop some frames. Okay. I thought that might happen. Okay. See if that works. Oh, you know, I should have done it actually. That. Okay. Okay. Citizens are stranded. Oh, crap. Oh, and it crashed instead of saving. Ooh. That's fine. That's fine. Try again. Okay, let's try this again. So, let's fix table, stable temp. Item's not. Um, Where's one? So, eek. Um, okay. Let me see. See if that worked. That caught on fire. Boiling clear glass. Why is this on fire? What is with this shit? Mm. Um, English. Then table temp. Okay. Um, Why is this water skin on fire? Huh? Extinguish all again, I guess. Try smoke. Clear smoke. Clear smoke. Are you still on fire? I've extinguished this fire already. Please. Bleeding for some reason. Because the stitches, I'm sure. Um, Okay, fine. Fine. I'll just go back to not having temperature. It's fine. Um, we'll try again. Should be. I'll just leave temperature off. Settings. Temperature. Hmm? Alright. Okay, so I do need to get some more housing in. Not sure. Does this tell me how many places I've got? So, bedrooms. A bunch of unclaimed bedrooms. This. No, there's just a lot of unclaimed rooms for it. So maybe I don't need a ton more bedroom. That one's claimed. Okay. Fine then. I do need a chest in there though. Chest. Oh, these really nice chests. I guess they're going rooms. Okay, we were working on digging deeper and finding lower cavern levels. Native gold wall. Hold on. What? Ah, don't go away. Probably should put those to normal. Gabbro, say. So it gets down to here and stops. Oops. Come on, I'm just... And we can start digging. Passages about if we hit any lower layers. Autosave, you say? Okay. I think I will just leave autosave on this fort, since I don't think it was the autosave breaking it, it was just the memory issues and the first bit of time where we were doing something extra besides just running the game, it crashed, so I assume it's just a matter of memory. Okay. Down here, dig that out. Then I can start digging. Let's do this. Like, dig this out lower. 10. Go to 10, just in case we don't hit anything down there. Wow, don't Force of Darkness has arrived. It's one dude. It's this recruit. I think this might be the same one. There's always like a recruit that pops in. It'll say, "Oh, wow, Force of Darkness is right," and then they'll just like, "Oh, sorry, I goofed up. I'm in the wrong place." Yep. I wonder if he's like trying like some weird thing, like he's trying to guest visit the tavern, and it's just like, nope, sorry. It's always. It seems like it's always the goblin recruiter. Perhaps he started out okay, and then the faction went to war later on, so he keeps coming back and can't. Maybe. Oh, there are snatchers, however. Okay, well, we can deal with snatchers. Nope, don't do that. Who we got training currently? That is the third squad. Third squad. Not mining. What the? Cancel these. Oops, wrong thing. These, thank you. They've taken off. Do I have any more? Okay. No. No, come on. It's combat. Maimed. Other squads. See if there's any. Have any soldiers? No. Skilled fighter. Oops, not there. You. Trapper and talent to armor use. Oh, actually. The novice bowman in there instead.
Is that stud coming?
Oh. Hey, thanks for the raid. Slicerek? How's it going? I dealing with this lizard fort here. The siege music's going because one guy showed up on the edge of the map and then ran him off, so he's not here anymore. Hey, Rainbow. I'm trying to fix some of these squads up a little bit. Nothing too crazy, just kind of patching up some holes. I need to go in and maybe clean out some of the folks that have been like severely wounded. Give them some time off. Remove them from military duty for a bit. And other than that, I am trying to... Oops. Huh? Oh, wrong thing. I'm trying to find lower cavern layers at the moment. I've got this first layer, but I've been digging down trying to find others, and so far, no luck finding lower layers. So I'm on the lookout. Let me see. I'll give you... No, what do I need to do here? Not that thing. I need... What all were you all doing tonight? So I do have... This is a modded fort. As you'll notice, we have lizard folk. It's not a dwarf fortress. It's a lizard folk fortress. So I have a bunch of lizard folk. I have these giantesses. I've got... humans are normal. Who else have we got in here? Got some dragonkin somewhere. Dragonkin. Got a dragonkin. Do I still have any crab people? On your first fortress? Like your first ever fortress, or like your first on the Steam version? Because it's always one of those things like some folks have been playing for a while. The game's first ever. Oh, all right, cool. Have you like just been playing through the tutorial, or did you like do some research ahead of time to figure out the madness that is Dwarf Fortress? Cool, cool. Like 9 times out of 10, especially for like new players, like just getting through that first year and avoiding like the biggest hurdle is usually like you forget that you need either alcohol or water, and that first like winter comes and all the water freezes over and you're out of drinks and people start dehydrating. It's that's the quick lesson you pick up on. Like that first, it's usually the first year will get you, but if you made it past that, then only one raid so far. That's not bad. Hopefully you had a military ready for it, because I definitely remember like having to just wall off things and being like, "Oh crap, I don't have a military. What are we gonna do about this?" Uh, Usually on this fort here, I have at least 2 raids a year. There's always the underground, the people in the cavern, and occasionally it's either gnolls or um, goblins up top. That's good. That is generally kind of a safer bet if you set up some traps. That way, especially early on, if you don't have anybody who's like ready to fight, at the very least you can soften them up some. I hope you're having fun with the old dwarf fortress. It does take a little getting used to, especially if you play anything like RimWorld. Uh, it is kind of a bit of a jankier interface. Yeah, animal explosions happen a lot, and it can be kind of a hassle to keep on top of them. A lot of folks will get to a certain point, and then you just start like spaying and neutering a bunch of animals, or just butchering animals. Closer to play to Stellaris, hmm, I could see Stellaris does have a lot. It's much much broader scope sort of thing, but it does have it does get you into like the mindset of managing a bunch of things at once. So throwing a tantrum. Unfortunately, my fortress. So like I said, it is modded. I do have most of the stuff that's modded in is just like extra race packs. So there's just all sorts of like other hostile races, other races that can come and visit. Um, I also have the extended music, although it's not on this fort. And I have let's go knocking over statues, you jerk. And I have a mod called Primal installed, which is where you get a bunch of like prehistoric types creatures, dinosaurs, mammals. Sometimes there's some like giant extinct penguins running around. Yeah, I mean, it is one of the fun things about the game is just either like hoping that you can trap some creatures that show up on your map, or like trading for like whatever random exotic things that the elves bring into you. I've seen people who are just like they'll get some random stuff off the elf traders, and then just go like, okay, I'm gonna make my fort a you know giant owl farm, and that's how their fort goes for the rest of their run. Just a massive, large owls running around. In this fort, the only thing I have creature wise, it's pretty boring actually. I just have some. I have some yaks. I have a yak farm down here and some Droltha that we've. The Droltha kept running in here and getting caught in my cage traps here, and so I was just like, "Ah, I'll train them," and now I have a Droltha farm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. At a certain point, um, that becomes kind of like the prime thing that you want from traders. Is just like you hope to see them come in each year just to see what kind of random animals they have brought to you. I do have a bunch of yaks up here. I've been mostly farming yaks, although since I've got them down here in the dungeon, they tend to be like the first thing to get picked off by the rat folk or the rodent people that show up. There are some random. I'm not sure. Cold. I always like every time I see cold one, I'm just like, there's a random beer running around my fortress. Oh, it's not a beer. I heard somebody crawling around in the cage. Yeah, dogs and cats are usually the ones that you have to keep the most eye out on, mostly because a lot of times, especially if you don't police them manually, a lot of times your dwarves will take care of like nest boxes and stuff. They'll go and pick up eggs unless you go and lock them away so that if you're trying to breed turkeys or chickens or what have you. But like dogs and cats, they just run around all over the fortress, so you don't know where they're at. And then you'll just frequently get kittens have been born, puppies have been born. It's just like elephants are nice though because you can. I believe elephants are war trainable, war and hunting trainable. Maybe just war trainable. Giant pit of soap over here by the wells. Yeah, dogs are definitely usually your default first line of defense for animal training wise. You can get there's a decent amount of animals you can get. I want to say like elephants, wild boars, I believe, are trainable. I'm trying to remember, there's a bird that is too. It's either owls or I don't. It's not eagles. I'd have to look it up. Anyway, like that's good. Yeah. Especially if you have them just trained for war. Stray animals will typically fight. Well, I think your livestock animals usually don't unless they're pinned somewhere. Like the my yaks will fight back sometimes when the rat people show up, but it usually takes a few of them getting beat up and or killed before they turn around and fight back, but at least it sounds like everything is going decently for your fort. Have you gotten down to like the cavern layers yet? Gotta get some food. Just can't make soap. Um, most of the difficulty is just keeping yourself on top of. Um, you need ash. Yeah, it especially for your early on. That's pretty normal. You're gonna be poking around trying to find stuff, trying to learn how all the different workshops and stuff work. That's a Nabda mod. I've seen the War Possums mod. I hadn't installed it only because like I'm just sitting here going like I hadn't installed too many mods at that point. The only things I had installed was there's a mod that um makes this smoothing stuff more transparent, which is nice. The default's not particularly useful, but war possums do sound sound like very historically accurate because of all the weird creatures that have been like very lethal in this game in the past. If you're ever interested in like some of the history, like go look up things like the killer carp. Carp used to be very deadly to dwarves. Man, that that can take some work. Yeah, getting every deity a shrine. Ooh, I tried that once, and I I started being like, I don't know that I want to keep doing this. I'll just wait until somebody yells at me about like, hey, we've got enough people, we want a shrine. Like, okay, cool. But if you've got everything kind of quieted down, it's a cool task to sit down and like look through the list and go, oh, okay, I'll make a shrine to this god. Cool. Worships the coastline and fertility. Okay, I'm making it. I think that there's is it in this fort? I think it's in the dragon fort. I was gonna say I think I have one that's what did these guys worship? They worship the hideous denomination. I don't think I can change. Or well, I can look at see what the hideous denomination worships. Oh yeah, they worship muck. Oh, oops, I'll snooze the ads are lurking around in the backyard there. Yes, the hideous denomination worships muck, and I think Kukikiki. I think these are statues of Kukikiki. Yeah. So this is the the fiddler crab god, and his domain is muck. Eh. That is definitely again very dwarf fortressy. It's just steel bow. That's fine. I'm kind of also needing to fix my crossbowmen a little bit. Don't think that they have a particularly great setup. Here's here's this ever burning mangled skeleton. I don't know. I don't think this is a forgotten beast. It's just always here burning. I don't know. It's stuck burning forever. I give up trying to figure out what causes it. In fact, I before you got here, I was trying to fix. There's some kind of bug in my fort where thread just kind of catches fire for whatever reason. It's super hot. Um, if I turn temperature on, people's stitches catch on fire, and it's not good. So I've had to turn temperature off. I'm not sure what caused it. It's broken. I live with it. But it is definitely a fun game. It takes some getting used to everything, but it is very much the same sort of thing like RimWorld. It's just a story generator. It is managing an ant farm. Only your ants want to get drunk and fight things and also make rock scepters. Hmm. As I say, I know waterfalls are very dangerous. Were they? I'm trying to think. Was there any animals nearby? Because I know a lot of times, anytime there's a like a ankylosaurus is fighting, is that somebody throwing the tantrum? Yeah. Um, anytime there's like an aggressive animal nearby, for whatever reason, dwarves love to just dodge into lakes. Normal visit. Yeah, it is kind of weird. Visitors will wander in and hang out in water. Is there used to be a guy living up here. No, he's gone. There was some kind of kobold that was hanging out in here at one point in time, and he wouldn't leave. That's just kind of a thing that guests do. I don't know why. It's like guest AI isn't quite as intelligent as your fort AI folks. Yeah, accidentally flooding your fortress is very common. Especially when you get to the point where you start messing around with like water features, like this thing that like I've got this reservoir that dumps water down into this part of the cavern or the well here. Uh, if you misplan things, you can screw up your water pressure and just flood. Like if I leave this thing open for too long, I the water would come up through this well here, which it kind of already has once, and just flood the fortress out. It is it is easy to do. But you know what? For a first fortress, if you're making it work, uh, that's not too bad then. It's not like you had spent like 4 hours and then you accidentally hit the river while you're digging and then the river floods into your base. That would be a lot more frustrating. I don't know that there's any like default level to aquifers. It can be any amount of Z levels basically. If if you are starting on a fairly high elevation though, like if you're let's say like starting your ground level is like 70, then I believe there's just a better chance that you're going to have a lot more aquifers because there's a lot more um, Z levels above ground. Or sorry, there's a lot more Z levels from the surface downwards in total. And so if you're starting at a higher elevation, there's just a better chance that you will have you will have aquifers go deeper. I think also if you look and see if your map, you might not be able to access it anymore. If your map says stuff like deep soil and light aquifer, there's a good chance that you will have a lot more like aquifer levels because deep soil levels are usually where um, a lot of that stuff seeps into the ground from, or is supposed to be that the deeper the soil is, the easier for water to absorb down into the ground and create an aquifer. It can be somewhat random, but like my best suggestion would just be to keep on going downwards. You can That's kind of what I did here. Like all this, all this is still light aquifer in here. Like I would just dig in enough to like get things working, and then just keep digging downwards until you find a floor where you can get a lot more space to dig around. But you will eventually hit some areas where there's not going to be an aquifer. You might also look and see if. Oh, thanks for the follow. Much appreciated. You might also look and see if you go like up to your map. I guess I'm trying to wonder if you can still see that or not. Alright, no problem. Have a good rest of the evening. I'll make sure if I catch you streaming a fortress of your own, I will swing on by sometime. I do enjoy hanging out and watching newer folks try to figure out how all these wacky systems work and provide help if they so ask for it. But um, when you set up your fort initially, you can kind of see that there'll be multiple what's the terminology for it? Yeah, I like I like to let it I usually like to cut it off at young or like the 50 years. Just because it typically means that there's a lot more uh you'll have a lot more forgotten beasts because more of that stuff will just exist. Um you won't have nearly as many like other civs, or there'll be less other civs, but you will have more forgotten beasts in general. Now, whether or not they're like particularly powerful or anything, yeah. Usually, the younger the world, the not the weaker. It's more like there's a larger variance between dangerous forgotten beasts and weak chumps, more or less. But if you let history run longer, typically there are less forgotten beasts, but the ones that are around are more dangerous because they didn't get killed immediately. They're not like, you know, water globes and one hit destroys them. But yeah, when you set up the fortress for the first time, you can kind of look and see if an area that there will be a there'll be like a key that will tell you whether or not the area that you're putting your square into to create a map is or like overlapping multiple different biomes. And so sometimes if you're hitting a map where you have a lot of aquifers, it could just be that you're like overlapping two different biomes and like one biome has a lot of aquifers and the other one doesn't. And so it could just be maybe you might look around and see if you have like one section that's mostly stone and try digging into that area versus like another area that has a lot of soil layers. Because, like I said, the soil layers you usually have more aquifer levels in. But if you dig into, say, a zone that has like mountainous, rocky area, usually they have less aquifers. They might have like a couple floors, and once you get through them, then you can get down to rock layers. You need to, however, send goods up here. I would also recommend if you get into it long enough, play around a while. I would recommend the F hack. It's a nice little like UI. It has a lot of UI elements that help out a lot, such as you can like click on animals and like it can automatically butcher instead of like having to go through the menu. I could go into here and go like, oh yeah, let's butcher this animal. Let's set this animal to be adopted. Uh, let's neuter this animal instead of having to go into like the menu here and find that specific livestock. Just click on it and go through there. It has some just real handy UI tweaks, such as this. It'll let you like kind of look through everything just by value and go, do you want to send valuable stuff to the trade depot? Okay, here you go. My eyes are a little Out of focus. Okay. A lot of this stuff is, unfortunately, I mean, do you mean like are the like modded races OP compared to the other ones, or like, or rather like, do you not see vanilla races as much anymore? Because I would say that like guest wise, you get a lot of like just varying guests from like everything. There are, I want to say, there's like a set of races that don't have civs, so they almost always are there like as guests, and I think those might show up a little bit more than normal. You know what? I haven't actually pried around in like the history files to see if anybody gets wiped out by it. So far, any of the worlds that I've made, like there's always still goblin groups, elven groups, humans, etc., dwarves. Like they all still exist in the world. There's just also additionally some other civs. The only like extra races mod I might keep an eye on would be the Dragonkin, because I think they are what caused the weird fire bug that I have. They do kind of breathe like a breath weapon occasionally. There's an ad break coming up. I will just kind of do a little bit of maintenance here, and then when that's over, I will continue chattering about mods. Maybe. But maybe Dad will be back. Sometimes it's very weird about ads. It yells at me that there's an ad coming and then doesn't tell me if it's running. I hmm. Oh, there it is. Okay, welcome back. The I would say if you mess around with any of the modded races stuff, also I would probably bump up the number of civs when you generate the world. I want to say I will pause real quick. Let me go back to the just briefly. I won't I won't go and generate a map or anything, but I would also recommend maybe a larger map. Not doesn't necessarily have to be the biggest, but slightly larger map and a higher number of civs. Just depending on how long you've played the game. Um, Once you get into playing the game more and you want sort of the extra challenge of maybe there being more hostile groups everywhere, you can bump it up higher. But if you're just feeling like messing around with the like if you just felt like messing around with the civs, I would either at least medium. You could even pop it to large. Um, like I said, world history is just dependent on that stuff. Um, with default, I could see that because if you have no other extra added modded civs or anything like that, there will be there won't be quite as many conflicts between like there will be less people that are interfighting. So you know that there's if you just run regular game, it's always just going to be goblins fighting dwarves, maybe humans, maybe elves. None of them. Sometimes humans are evil. Sometimes elves are already evil. With modded civs, though, when you add, especially if you start adding in extra civs, like total civs, then adding them in also provides another extra thing for like, oh, now instead of goblins wiping out, or rather than like an entire section of goblins wiping out dwarves, now there's so many other civs. There's like the crab folk, there's the dragonkin, there's the Iranese, there's the Naga. Like there's all this other stuff. It makes sure that there's less things for like the goblins to just gang up on and wipe out dwarves. It can still happen because world gin is world gin. It just kind of random rolls and goes, okay, here's the story, here's how it went, all these things happened. But if you're playing with modded civs, I would go with a higher. But if you're having that issue where worlds that you're generating have like goblins wiping out dwarves a lot, then I would definitely bump it down to low or very low. You'll almost always still run into goblins and still have stuff to conflict with, but at the very least you'll still have your civ to trade with. You'll probably still have your humans or elves or whatnot to also trade with. Let me go back though. I don't really want to generate a new one right now. I will say my mods. If you do, that's you don't even have to. You don't even have to actually add any of the other races. You could just install all races playable, and it lets you play as humans, elves, or goblins if you wanted to make those forts. But with this mod in, you can also play as the crab people. Got you can play as kobolds. You can play as dragonkin. You can play as I don't think you can play as any of the additional races. These are all mostly like guests or um, Knowles and the Ixthlid are generally by default bad guys. Ratfolk also tend to be bad guys. But the Lizardmen also, with the races playable, you can have the any of the races, any mod that's put in that gives you like a full civilization into the game, you can play with the all races playable mod. I think these are not like full civs, so they're just sort of out there. They don't have like all the like historical stuff that some of the other like the default races and stuff have. Like I don't think they're as complete. Also, sound sense is nice. That's just extra music. It's made by um, Simon Swerer. If you ever wanted to check out Simon Swerer's music, he actually did some of the music for the Steam version. Um, he made a mod back for the old version that ran in the sound sense utility for the old game. This would add more music to the old game, and now it's that music is also here. So, and then like I said, the primal is the dinosaurs and other prehistoric animals. Some interface tweaks, gives you some hotkey stuff. Nice, yeah. Um, Lazy Noob Pack was definitely like I played it before that came out, but like I remember just dreading trying to install tile sets because like half the time I would screw it up. I'd just be like, oh, I've not put something somewhere right. This folder's useless now. And just had to delete it and start over. Lazy Noob Pack made all that so easy. Came with utilities like SoundSense, Dwarf Therapist. I believe it had DF Hack too. Um, the see-through smoothing designations. I think maybe they might have fixed that in the default, but that was one of the that was like I think the one of the first mods that I installed, just because that was a big complaint early on. Was just like the Steam version, the there were so many of the interface things like that would layer over the area you're trying to work with. It's just like just kind of got in the way, and just like, well, that makes it more transparent, so you can actually work on your fort while things are trying to get smooth. But yeah, I still have some fond memories of the old days of Lazy Noob Packs, having the game open and then having like Dwarf Therapist on the other side when you had to like sit around and look and go, okay, oh, this guy came in, he's got these skills. Okay, I'm gonna make sure that he's doing all those jobs. Oh, she came in and she's just a really good armor maker. Okay, I'm stripping every other job off you. You're going to do nothing but armor. It was kind of a neat way of playing it. 'Cause it kind of modernized it a little bit to how um, things like RimWorld do it now. Dilophosaurus. But yeah, there is some cool stuff out there. Like I said, I would definitely recommend once you like get into it or DF hack at least just add some more UI stuff. Definitely makes things look a little nicer. I somehow close that window out. Maybe I did. What a goober. Yeah. I try to use like a lower overhead chat browser so I can see chat going on and not have to have a whole window tab just to Twitch. especially when it doesn't tell me that, whether or not ads are coming or not. So, broker requested. I will say one of the one of the downsides, I guess, to having modded civs and such is that you do get a lot of traders, and if you don't like messing with trading all that much, it can kind of get annoying because you'll get 6 or 7 different trade caravans every year, more or less. Just everybody and their brother wants to come in and trade with you. Sometimes you'll have 3 or 4 different caravans at the same time, and you're like, who do I want to trade with? Would you like to? I wonder if DF Hack will notify me when the trader's there, though. Okay. Oh, Jesus. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, if you get into adding like civs, maybe don't add them all at the same time. Like, see how adding 1 or 2 feels before you start adding a bunch. I have basically sort of a mod addiction. And the part of the problem is just from playing RimWorld, and in RimWorld, it is so easy to have like 100 mods, 150 mods, 200 mods, because there's just so much stuff in that game. You know, there's so much added stuff because the vanilla game, it's all right. The DLCs add some cool stuff, but like there's just like a massive, crazy modding community for RimWorld that just adds all kinds of stuff for that game. And so in my head, it's just like, oh, I need race mods. I loved race mods in RimWorld. Surely they'll work right here. They they do keep things a little bit more interesting. Instead of having like random naked elf dancers that roll in, like dancing troops show up, I get all kinds of wild things. I'll have kobolds, I'll have dragons, I'll have um, animal, you know, animal people, the dinosaur people. Like, that's kind of cool. I don't think I've seen that one. Or they don't have their own civ. They just can be part of like a human civ or some other faction civ. That's cool. I mean, you know what? As I said, I am a mod addict. I might look around for um, more intelligent creature civs or more intelligent creature mobs, I guess, because like I said, not everything is a civ that gets added, but having more things like that just added in is always kind of fun. Well, it can be fun. What's going on here? Okay, finally, trading at depot. I do also enjoy. Let me see. Let me point out. I love that the lizard folk have their own like unique weapons, or some unique weapons. But where Where's some dudes at? I guess so. Another, I guess another kind of issue. It's more just like a little extra hassle that you have to deal with. Is that everybody has different sizes. I believe it. I believe there are like creature types that can show up as forgotten beasts. Because like I've seen one that came in. Let me see if I can find him. Like well, it probably won't say the description of him anymore. I could maybe look it up in the items. I want to say one of them came in and it said it was like a giant a saurian, like dinosaur creature. Um, Savannah Titans, Forgotten Beasts. Uh, don't know. Let me see. This XSYSH. See if I can find. Oh, crap. Uh, well, there, yeah, yeah. Well then. No, it's all right. It, it probably would have crashed because all I was doing was just scrolling down. There's a good chance it probably could have crashed, just regardless at that point. I part of it is probably just that I've got so much crap in memory. Let me close out that Twitch window. See if I free up enough memory. One of these days I will purchase more RAMs. Because I think that's pretty much just a chunk of it. Is just the computer's not. It's got like 16 gigabytes, so having a browser window, OBS, and Dwarf Fortress open is kind of enough to cause some hassle. Especially if I don't like close out Discord, which I tend not to, just because there's always a chance I might need to do stuff in said Discord, but download more. You know what? Uh, I remember the days of software where, in fact, we even had one at one time where it was called like soft RAM, and it was a disk that was like, oh, we can convert hard drive space into RAM. Ooh. I think these are just lizard men. Yeah, they're just uh specific lizard. So it's just folks in the fortress. I don't think it's specific individuals. Uh, I as much as I would love to get into like making individualized rooms, yeah, it's kind of weird that way. Like for some reason, the lizard man statues don't have any icons, but I guess you know what? It might just be that the. Let me go back up to them real quick. The crab ones do have the crab people icons, but I have to assume perhaps that there was already crab artwork in the game, so it was just like, oh yeah, it's easy. Just crabs. Did I get this stuff up here? Okay, at least that's set. I didn't lose much progress, I don't think. Ooh, let me super double check that the temperature is off. Okay. I don't want the fortress catching spontaneous fire again. But yeah, we used to have on our family computer back, trying to remember, sometime in the 90s, we had software called Softram. It said like it said something about like, oh hey, we can convert extra hard drive space into memory for your games. It was like, oh cool, because it was either buy this like $20 software or buy 4 MB of RAM for like $200, and of course, uh, as a kid, I didn't have that money, and my parents are like, uh, for what? No, we're not spending $200 on RAM, whatever that is. So I had this software that supposedly would do that, and it kind of worked, but um, it didn't work in the way it was supposed to work. So like it would trick programs into running because it would be like, oh yeah, you have more RAM now, but then like that RAM or the fake swap file that it made with your hard drive was not fast enough to keep up with like the actual speed of RAM. So it didn't do really any good because you would start to run things that would just immediately slow down because it's like this hard drive stuff doesn't work. It doesn't keep up. So let me stop this real quick. The primal mod has some like 500 some odd like extra creatures. Unfortunately, like the artwork for all of them is very basic. Like this Stegosaurus. This Stegosaurus compared to this Quaddle here. Or this horned one. This Ankylosaur here. Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I made this quip before. Like back in the old tile set days, if something didn't have an icon for it, it would just default back to just a capital letter anyway. So, you know what? I'll take an MS Paint dinosaur over like just having a giant capital D rolling around the fort. Ah, this giant green capital D is the Stegosaur, of course. Why didn't you know that? I'll take it. I mean, it does stand out a bit compared to all the other creatures. This Carnosaur, this Troglodon, but like these Troglodons, Carnosaurs, that's all from the Lizard Folk or the Lizard Man mod, and I believe, if my knowledge has not failed me, the Lizardmen are all sort of based off of Warhammer Fantasy Lizardmen. So like they have their own different sizes. You have the real small ones are skinks. Like I think this is it's either a skink or a chameleon. This is a chameleon. The real small ones are skinks. This one here is a skink. Oh, it's a chameleon? Huh. Which one is the skink? But that is one of the cool things about some of the extra mods, the other Civ mods, is that some of them have caste systems. Like if you go in the nobles, some of them like very specifically, and not click on any of them. I know in the crab one, it will specifically go, only certain types of crab people can be, uh, like their sheriff, like the crab folk's sheriff is called the Claw of the Law, and it has to be a lobster. Nobody else can be the Claw of the Law but the lobster. And so, uh, like this Civ, the Lizardfolk Civ, like any of the main noble classes have to be either Saurus or Croxagores. Like none of the skinks can hold higher station. Like these taskmasters, I think those are chameleons, but like skinks can't be nobles. It just is like, no, sorry, those guys are chumps. Those are the weenies. You have to pick those guys to be your military heads, your nobles, your priests. And it's just like an extra little layer that like I said, the crab folks are the same way, although I think they're more varied in who can be what. I do. Yes, I don't think I lost a lot. If I lost anything, maybe. No, I say it didn't crash as it was saving. Or even if it had crashed while it was saving, it wouldn't have saved. So I would have been lost that progress. I always it does kind of bum me out a little bit sometimes when I see people like, oh, that guy's gotten attached to a mace. I'm like, ah, dang it, I would have liked to have got that replaced with a steel one, but oh well. But yeah, I I have been enjoying the madness that is like modded Dwarf Fortress so far. Even despite like the little weird people being on fire bugs. Mesh and plants in the slurry. I probably ought to make a wind turbine somewhere, generate some wind power, speed some of that stuff up. But I mean, like I said, this is kind of like real unorganized. I didn't. Um, the primal mod does. I think I actually have like mild savagery as well. I spawned in and lost like 2 or 3 people like pretty quick. Mostly just because there were dinosaurs in the river outside. And they're just like, nope, you came over here to fish. Get squished. Huh? Are you carrying around teeth? What's going on here? What's this lower front tooth hanging out here? Some random person's teeth just hanging out at the smelter. Weird. Um, I haven't seen elves do it. The I've seen the gnolls. I've seen the gnolls ride in on war iguanodons. In fact, is that in the dead missing? There might be a stack of them. Rather than just come in on like blink dogs or beak dogs, they would ride in on They also started bringing trolls last time. In fact, I think I captured some of their trolls because I now have like 2 trolls. I think just rolling around the fortress, uh, being absurd. Did I not count their war animals? No, I want to say it was like in this raid here. Uh, war Ankylosaurus, perhaps. Well, I could have swore they were iguanodons. Eh. Some of the gnolls I've seen show up on them. I haven't actually provoked. I tend not to fight the elves, mostly because I they are like the best place to get the exotic animals. So I tend not to piss them off just so I can occasionally get random wild animals. But I wouldn't be surprised if they did, or some sort of you know Paleolithic creature, because there's like I said, there's like all kind. I've seen other stuff in other fortresses. I don't know that I have anything too crazy here. I've seen like giant penguins. Well, giant penguins might stretch. They're like it labels them as 200-pound penguins. They're called like anthroporus anthropornis. It's a very unfortunate name. Yeah, it has a very um here even post it in chat. It is but yeah, there's all kinds of other like prehistoric creatures, and it would not surprise me at all if there are you know I think I think elves just come with whatever like their particular civ has like well trained. Because I don't know that I've seen the only times I've seen them, they've always had like war jaguars. But like I said, I've only like really combated them like once or twice, and this was in older versions. In older versions where it was a lot easier to piss them off to the point of war, like where you could literally just accidentally trade them forbidden items, or for stuff that the elves do not like you to do. That would be enough to provoke in the war. In this, I've accidentally done that a couple times, but they don't seem to start combat over it. Also, uh, wait, the audio not coming through? Okay, no, it is. It's coming through on the stream. I don't hear the audio. That's why. Let me change devices real quick. See if it fixes it. Let me go and see. It is definitely a deeper one. We got black cap. So this is I think this is the second layer. Black cap. Let's see if I see. Because like nether cap is the tree of the deepest layer. I think the moss down there is like purple. But there's definitely a lot more black cap. Yeah, I think this is all black cap. This is the second layer, I believe, then. which is cool. Although it also now means that I'll probably have like random crundles and weird things coming out of the darkness to mess with me. But did they hit? Oh, they dug staircases down. Okay, I see. They dug staircases down and hit the ceiling. So I need to go back. Let's go to here. Oh. Go to here. I'll dig up to this layer. Crundles can be aggressive. I don't think that they're necessarily always aggressive, but I've had in previous fortresses, I've had them just like constantly harass people down in those lower layers. So I don't know if it's like a default they'd have to be butt heads, but I know in previous fortresses I would just randomly see the Crundle is fighting over here, and I'm just like, what? Why? And then they would be picking on some random guy who's down looking for silk in the dark. Let's. That's fine. I do want to have some space so I can kind of cut things off just in case stuff comes up from down here. Let's see. Actually, let us look and see if anything has shown up on the lower level. Beak? Oh no, that's the merchant stuff. Dimorphon? Those are just random wild dinosaurs have shown up. It's not anything too. Pond grabbers. Okay, no, that's on the higher layer, so still very obnoxious. Pond grabbers can be kind of ornery. But thankfully I don't I tend not to fish down here. If I can help it. I would definitely need to set up a space to fish in. If I was gonna fish down in the caves. Oh yeah, I do actually have a small giant olm farm. Again, just from random olms getting themselves trapped in my traps. And these two traps, like, just constantly getting filled with stuff. Oh. Also, I always, well, not always. Sometimes I forget that you need tables in your hospitals. Because I immediately like upgrade them to I tend to like immediately go, oh yes, I need traction benches. So let me turn those tables into traction benches. And it's like, oh wait, they need tables as well. Do any tips for doing sheriffing? So I tend not to rush to the sheriff stuff until I start to have a lot more. Either I would say wait till you get to at least 100 pop to start messing with it, or if you start having just a lot of artifacts and you need people to be able to kind of keep an eye on them, you able to set up. Put it here. But I always make sure that you have a dungeon. I would also, if you can, I've seen people. I've seen the suggestion that the best thing you can do is to, um, yeah, yeah, it definitely just kind of starts happening. You will eventually and that's kind of why some people will just straight up like not let anybody come into their tavern from outside. They'll just be like, no, no outsiders, period. Because visitors can often come in snooping around for your artifacts. Although that doesn't necessarily have to be outsiders. You can have your own people can like I want to say they can migrate in with migrant ways, but I've had people in the Civ try to like grab stuff and go like sneak off with it too. But yeah, it can get especially if your fort is if you have a lot more problems with like I have very moody folks in here total. It seems like it's a lot easier to get more artifacts stolen when people are in bad moods. Like especially your people themselves running off with it. Um, if they're just you know they have a bad move and they're like, I want to acquire an item, they might just go grab it. Yeah, I want to say I had. Let's see, justice. Closed cases. This guy, I believe. Oh, no. This guy. I remember seeing like it said like such and such. The item has gone missing, and I see this guy standing here, and I click on his go to his inventory and his items. He's got the item sitting there. I'm like, all right, what are you doing? And he just kind of wanders off with it. So as soon as I see that, I can come into justice, uh, going like, all right, convict this guy. Do I still have the Thunders of Burning? I did he get away with it? No, yes he did. Butthead. I convicted him, but hold on. Let me look. I know the some of the like intelligence stuff, the cases aren't entirely in the game yet, or like I want to say it's like the organizations and plots and things. I don't think it's entirely fleshed out all the way just yet. Like I want to say this is some of the newer stuff that was added before the Steam version. Let's see. Did I find? I just convict him and didn't like ever. Maybe I didn't actually ask him about why he was taking that thing. A plot, a plot, a plot, a plot. Huh. I so I convicted that guy of it. I don't him. No sentence pending. Still have the theft of thunders on you? Doesn't. Uh then I don't know where that thing is. Hmm. But you definitely when you get to the point where you actually want to mess with putting the justice system in, you definitely need a dungeon of some sort. Just set up a space that just set up a space with some chains. I've you can either use chains or cages, but if I recall correctly, when they're in cages, they have they have less capability to like talk to one another, to observe like pieces of art. it can work with anybody. If you do have somebody that is better, like, um, what's it called, like intent. Let me see if I can find somebody with some knowledge skills. I want to say it's like intent or judgment. Let's see. Doctor, no. Need bards. Bards usually have it. Colors, no. Bards will oftentimes have decent social skill. Judge of intent is usually a really good one. Judge of intent, conversationalist, um, pacifier, consoler, persuader. Anybody who has some decent social skills like that has a better chance of being able to get information out of people. Um, as far as anything else, I've and this used to be a thing that you would do in later or in older versions. You would also like assign them to a squad first and equip them with make a wooden mace. They're like, especially if you're playing just with dwarves, or a wooden hammer, because they usually will grab a hammer of some sort. They'll grab a wooden weapon. If you assign them a specific weapon already in a squad and then assign them to sheriffing, they will carry around the wooden weapon. Which means that instead of them picking up something that's super lethal or can be super lethal, they are picking up like a crappy wooden weapon. And if any of your nobles get pissed and want somebody punished, the hammerman is just kind of bopping them with a wooden stick rather than your really good steel mace. But you don't want them to get too much military training, because if they get really good with a weapon and then you put them as sheriff, anybody who's not trained militarily will also get severely beaten because they can't dodge attacks and they don't have like high intuition or combat skills or anything. So, just like if your military guys go into a tantrum around civilians, chances are they will start smashing your civilians to death because they're just so much better at combat. So too with like the sheriff. If you make sure that they are equipped with a weapon, but just make it like a real crappy stick, a wooden mace. That way they won't go and grab some other weapon and go, oh, I see. I'm gonna like enact justice with my silver warhammer or anything real good, because then you can. I've had sheriffs like a noble goes mad. A noble gets angry because you didn't complete a request for rings, and then I've had the sheriff go and like maim and kill my like legendary armor smith. And I'm just like, you absolute asshole! You killed the one person I didn't want you to kill in my fortress. Thank you. Did I not? Did I never actually send him up here to trade? Ugh, that's on me. Uh, as you can see, my broker person, my taskmaster broker, apparently just does not have particularly good skills with that stuff. Everything is just 2,000. Just not good enough at sizing up value. Everything is just like, oh, I don't know, that's $10. I probably should actually get dedicated trash. Uh, He's supposed to be a high master appraiser. What? I don't know about that. Maybe that's why I left him there. Hmm. I know that's a weird him thing because in in my crab fort, uh, those numbers are much more accurate. Representative is that kobold? Huh? Oh, did they already leave? Maybe I'm just now getting to that and it's already gone. I don't see him on the map. But yeah, like I said, I your your socials your some of your social skills are important for the sheriff, and not always kind of prefer somebody who isn't like too heavily trained militarily because you don't want them to take any mace that they find or any of their equipment to just go smash your your civilians to punish them. Like yeah, so that's one of those things that's I know some people are very adamant about like not trading food stuff because I think there's some weird number crunching thing that goes on with food specifically. Hey, finally get to the trade depot. It is just kind of a little bit of a nuisance. It doesn't necessarily hurt you too much, but it can be like easy to pinpoint like, oh hey, I'm trading enough to get the stuff that I want versus I'm trading too much to get the stuff that I want. But later on, making so much stuff, it's not that big of a if you over trade. In fact, if you trade them more or if they make more profit, they tend to bring more stuff next time. But yeah, you can sell anything up to like the double X. Like it'll be kind of junky price, but you can pass it off to them. You can't gift those things though. If I select this stuff, you can't just offer them used clothing. But that's that's fair enough. I probably wouldn't accept used clothing as some instruments. Instruments are fun. Toy boat. Got some nice like gym work on it. Sure. A sword is. I think that's like a small feature. Anything too fancy. We'll check it out. If anything, I can always stick it in the zoo. Billet, buckets. Uh, silver mace. Shell steel. No. Maybe. Shell steel great axe. That's tempting. Do who likes shell steel shields? And a shell steel helm. I almost always will take a few cheap bags here, 'cause especially sandbags. So because some maps don't have sand, so that can be like late game when you get to the point where if you're on a map that doesn't have sand, like 90% of the stuff that you're trying to get people to bring you is stuff like sand, clay, maybe some bars. Just don't want them to. If you don't want to go through the hassle of trying to make every single steel bar yourself, have them bring steel, it's pig iron. That can help you speed up your manufacturing. Remember, don't think it's arrow. Maybe it is arrow. I'll have to look at that. Gaffery trousers. Like on his trousers that he's got to trade me, or something over here. Oh, Girafacarix. You know what? I would not be shocked if it was just like a large, um, prehistoric giraffe. Um, kind of. Is an extinct genus of medium-sized giraffids, known from the Miocene of the Indian subcontinent and Eurasia. Is it distinguished from other giraffids by the four ossicones on its head. So, rather than like other giraffes that just have like the two kind of not really pointy protrusions, just like the two knobs, these things have four. Looks artist depiction. It sort of just looks like a kind of a big zebra almost, or an okapi. They are yeah, yeah. With sort of kind of a weird like an extra set of horns, double horns. Not quite um like full on horns, but just sort of like stubs. Hmm. Double check. You doing? Uh, oh, sorry about that. Ads showed up. I thought I'd run. I thought those had gone not too long ago. Huh. Oh, Twitch and your ads. But yeah, it is some kind of large giraffe-id. I don't know what a probotherium is. Probotherium. Probotherium is extinct genus of camelid, endemic to North America. Some extinct North American camels. Okay. Always interesting. Yes, so um the Naga people, the crab people, and the rat people all have the most mouthful names. Dwarf names, those seem coherent. Let me, yeah, let's not, let's pause a second. Um, but I want to say that, so this is a rat name. Kikik, Vikik, so these are rats. This is Knowles. Hmm. That's dragonkin, human elves, lizard folk. I'm trying to think. This is probably the Naga. Would be my guess. Is this must be crab people then? Would be my guess. We have any on the? They usually live like on the ocean side. The Ixlid are the usually angry bug people. Human hamlets, dragonkin. Do I not have any? There they are down here. Inaccessible mission location. Yeah, that's fine. I'm just looking to see. Oh, I forget they're all. These are translated names, so you're not going to see the funky. A lot of them are. Well, look. Let me go to. Like this guy. This guy's name is Kikukiki Kikukiti Uki Kikuru Kuchiti. Um, a lot of the crab folk names, or a lot of the crabs names, are a lot of like keys, cheese, rue. Yeah, it's like, yeah, it's so. it, uh, it is such a mouthful. At least the like lizard folk names seem, since um these lizards are based off of Warhammer lizards, and Warhammer lizards are kind of based off of like sort of Aztec sorts of civilizations. Like their names at least sound kind of closer to that. They're still not like super pronounceable, but at the very least, it's not like a lot of a mouthful of very similar uh, syllable sounds. But again, though, I actually enjoy the fact that there are so many names for so many things in this game now with all these extra mods that I cannot pronounce. I just love like just throwing myself at uh the name of something that I butcher constantly. Because it just sounds like I'm just like I'm trying, I'm struggling here. Oh, right, I need to get up there and trade. Dork. I was in the middle of a trade. But yeah, it's the names, uh, and that does bring up the grumble that I hear a lot of, and I have as well. The fact that like they use translated names a bunch. Like you'll see them translated sometimes, and then other times they're not translated. So you're just like, I, I'm trying to find, corset grabs, Where's that at? None of the names are listed and translated, so you're like, I need to memorize the first name and then hope that like four other people in the place don't have the same first name. Nice. That's those are fun mods too. I've heard there of the like additional language mod stuff. I might have to check out some of that too. I did want the shell seal shield and that helmet. Oh yeah, the great axe. Take the great axe too. Uh, yeah, and I think that there's also mods that extend the language out further, just so that you have more. Um, you have more things in the vocabulary list overall, just in general. So you can kind of do because, like the taverns and things have to have a translated name. You can't just type in and give it a name like you can like nicknames and that kind of stuff. Like it has to have a dwarven name. And so you're limited to like just the things that are in the game, or rather, what the world knows. There's not a word for a wheel or whatnot. Like there's just like, oh, we don't know what you're talking about. You can't name that this random thing we don't know. I mean, to some extent, it makes sense. Like obviously, they're not going to have modern names for modern stuff, but I think I think that there's just sort of a very well, not very limited. There is like a limit to what um, what is in the vocabulary. So not everybody or not everything is in there. But not ev- there could be more stuff in there, and I know that there's mods to add some of that stuff. It just gives you more like stuff to have descriptions for or of in the fortress. And I'll take your paper sheets. Do I want to? A lot of this is just all discarded stuff from folks that I've fought, basically. All the all the random rat folk and all the um yeah raiders and things come in. They get they get attacked, or they attack us and we lose. Then we end up with all their junk. Got so much silk. I do appreciate that like silk is so much easier to get. It used to be quite a pain in the ass back in the days, and you would oftentimes have people who would get into moods would always want silk for crafts, and you're just like, I don't have any silk. Nobody came and traded me any silk. Well, now this guy's gonna go crazy because didn't have a piece of silk. The so long as you have the caverns open, you will you will always have like plain spider silk, the regular size spider silk, because the small spiders that create it are vermin, and so they're just always there. Uh, to get like giant spider silk or the more expensive stuff, you do have to find specific giant spiders. Uh, they are hostile, and if they are down there in the dark waiting for you, and they catch your guys looking for silk, they will probably kill them. Yeah. Um, but just regular silk, regular cave spider silk, those spiders are vermin. So so long as you got a cavern open, there will be silk somewhere. Harvesting the giant cave spider silk is a different like thing altogether. They don't. I want to say they don't actually leave it unless you provoke them into combat. They are like forgotten beasts that have a webbing attack, and so you have to get them to make web. Otherwise, there's no web hanging around. Really nice microcline mug that I'm gonna trade. Gemmed up mug. This I do remember this really nice claystone figurine of giant the giant green tree frogs. I'm gonna trade him some copper color. I did trade him one really nice mug, but I'll trade him some other real nice siltstone ring. But unglazed. I probably should glaze that at some point. Porcelain ring. Yeah, why not? Very happy. Like I said, later on, it's almost always like it is almost always nicer to just throw goods at traders. Make sure they leave very happy or ecstatic, and they will almost always bring more the next year. Especially if it's a sieve that has a material that you want, like steel. If you get them, like well traded up with materials, they will bring you just a lot more because they know that you have good stuff to trade. So they're just like, ah, yes, we'll bring a whole crate full of stuff, like because they know that you will trade them a lot of stuff, or they expect you will because you've traded them a lot of stuff the time before. I do, however, need to set this as an ammo stockpile. And I need specifically arrows? I think it's arrows. I will double check. Because my lizard folk can't create crossbows and they can't create bolts. Trying to do this. Details. Yeah, so they have steel bows. So I need arrows. Arrows. Just arrows. Which is fine. All quality. That's fine. Oh, yeah. I actually probably should do this. I'll try it. I know this is supposed to work, but in the other fortress it doesn't. There is a way. There's a way you can salvage training arrows or arrows that are trained with, but the other fortress, I've had one fortress where it worked okay, but my crab fortress it does not work. I don't know if it's like I've like specifically laid it out wrong, or I'm still setting up a new archery range there. So see if I can fix it that way or not. Do, however, put walls. Maybe. They might not be able to get... that might be... It'll just be this one that's not set up right, but... We want space here to some gyms there, by the way. I need to set up let's set up a thing for to make a decent number of iron arrows anyway. Of iron arrows. It's less than... No, you know what? What 200? That way. That way the archers will have a decent stockpile. Let's take from here. Take from... I think I have another one downstairs. I just need to get all the arrows in one place. Oh, no, I got rid of it. Okay. I moved it upstairs already. But yeah, I'm definitely, what's the room with the injured lizard? It's probably another barracks of some sort. Yeah, like this room here is a barracks. This is the archery range. This is a barracks. This is a barracks. This one's a little smaller than the rest of them, but these are just barracks. I haven't like gone through it. Oh, what's going on? Somebody's throwing a tantrum. Bone Carver is throwing a tantrum. The troll is fighting. Trying to beat up on this troll. Come on, man. How you gonna beat up on this troll? Trained trolls kind of just wander and do their own thing. They usually almost... Oh, no. Well... Your fortress has crashed again. I have the... One of the compressed files on disk has errors in it. Restore from backup if you are able. So I will probably have to retrade. It is... Let me look and see. Well, let's see where I give off. Maybe... that is the one. It's all right. I don't know if it's so. No, it's not necessarily. I was gonna say, modded Dwarf Fortress is a pain in the ass. I mean, it could be. I think it doesn't give me that error on any of the other ones. I think what happened is while I was playing this fortress, I had like a blue screen error, like just the computer just threw a blue screen at me. I think it ended up like screwing up some of the backup files or the, the world files because I went and like kind of researched some of it because I kept getting this stuff popping up, and apparently that's just been a thing with Dwarf Fortress for years and years. Sometimes if you get errors in the like compressed world files, sometimes it'll just get screwy, which is unfortunate. See what all I've lost progress wise. I probably should like go to bed sometime soon anyway. It's getting to midnight, and usually after streaming it takes me an hour or so, hour or two to like relax down to sleep. It is early autumn, so the trader's still here. I don't think I've traded with him. Did I? Um, it happens frequently enough with this particular fortress that I probably do. I probably do need to like just manually save more often. Did I hit the cavern here? No. The cavern's here. So the mine that's still supposed to be going to find said cavern, not found it yet. So, but yeah, I mean, it happens enough that I like looked into like finding some way to fix that. It's obnoxious, but like I said, it's just this fort. None of the other modded forts have this error. I think it's specifically because like my computer crashed in the middle of playing this game, so some of the files got borked, more or less. Yeah. So I mean, that's I'll have to kind of reset that stuff up and set the trade back up. I can leave that for another day though. I can always do that another night. I stream a lot of Dwarf Fortress as it is, so so there's always that opportunity to do that. I can always like maybe do that off stream a little, get back up to speed. I would probably let me look and see what's on. Um, time still. Dr. Mutagen's streaming. Send folks. Um, the Darkstone, like this one here. I do. I really enjoy Jet. I would also like to get. I also should probably finish this at some point, up to here at least. I also just now started finding Cobaltite, which is like the darker color. That down here. Just saw it actually. Here, it was there. I passed it like a goop. Like this color black here is like a more solid black versus Jet, which is sort of more a blue gray. For the most part, it kind of is. Um, unless you are getting to the point where you really want to decorate in specific colors, then you like if I want to use this olivine green, I'm like, oh hey, I want to build stuff out of that color. Then, or even just pick a few like cool colors that you like that you're finding, and just make a custom stockpile and have people haul that stuff up closer to your workshops. That way, because you always have some amount of your population doing nothing but hauling. There's just not that much stuff to do, but you don't want them just hauling any rock unless you're like burning through rock constantly. Then setting up a stockpile for just rock is okay. But I tend to, once you get down low enough that you're starting to find a lot more cooler colors and just wider variety of colors and such, I would like make a stockpile and go, okay, I want this olivine up here. I want the cobaltite up there. I want this granite up here. That way, you can have a stockpile close to your stuff. Huh. That's wild. Interesting. I had to. Hmm. I mean, it doesn't surprise me that like kobolds are like the like similar like fairies and such. They're like ancient legend type things. Like kobold, like I'd have to look that up. I'd have to read up into the history of the kobolds. Um, 'Cause I do remember at one point in time reading a book about um Irish fae and giants, and some of the stories are really wild, but also there's like very often very common themes. Um, if you ever go and read up about the Irish fae and giants and such, especially giants, um, anything that involves like those legends, giants legends and such, there will almost always be somebody cutting somebody's head off just for the heck of it. Just like, hey, I'm a cool guy, look at me. And then like the giant's like, no, you're not, you're a chump. And then whoop, it was just like bend down here and say that to my face. And haha, I've cut your head off. And now like I want to say there's like a legend about a guy who specifically goes around and is like collecting giant heads because like the giants were so obnoxious to his family or something, and it gets to the point where giants start to fear him because he has killed so many other giants and just has their heads. And it's not just like one story. There's like several different stories of Irish legend of cutting off giant heads. It's just, I guess, the thing you do with giants, or did with giants as ancient ancient Irish heritage sorts of thing. But yeah, some of that I definitely, one of these days I'm going to sit down and get back to more reading. I would like to read more of those like old folklore tales and like where creatures and such come from. Read all about like Chinese dragons and uh, all the elves and dwarves and stuff in like Nordic legend and like brownies. There's all kinds of creatures that have like a like interesting ancient history, or folklore tales about them. I'm trying to see if I doesn't look like any of them are still streaming, unfortunately. I will say I don't know how much how interested you all are in retro games. But most of the community that I hang out with, or I have hung out with in the more recent history, been from like retro game communities. And a bunch of us all kind of work on and have been a part of a game show called Arcade Pit. And I need to sit down and work on some more challenges for it. But if you are ever interested in said Arcade Pit, or you know what, if you're also interested ever in, let's see, uh, it's a show that's been going on for forever. I think he's been running for like 9 years. Um, but we have fun over there. It's a bunch of it's all just like video game challenges. There's art challenges, quiz stuff. It's a it's it's not really so much a serious competition sort of thing. It's more just like a fun collaborative thing where people try to play games good. You want to try to play games good, but not everybody can play. You know, the trashy um, Super Monkey Ball Junior GBA port. It runs like there's a 3D game running on a GBA from back in the day, so it doesn't run well. It runs, and people have made challenges for it. But it's a fun little show that uh, happens every Sunday. And if you're ever just curious, or if you ever have anything that if you have a hankering for retro games and just want something to throw on in the background, I was hoping some of the other folks, because I see Smite is streaming, and he's supposed to be working on challenges, but I don't know if he's actually kind of just playing the game. But part of challenge making is literally just sitting around playing the video game to the point where you want it. So I don't know that I would like. I was hoping some of the other guys would be on, or any of the other folks would be on streaming, but uh, I see. Mutagen is on. I could send folks over the mutagen. Carpenter's throwing a tantrum. Oh wait, did I? Oh, I. I sat down and like set this up, and then that crash happened. So none of this stuff stuck. I'll remake this real quick. Type arrows, poor quality, all of it. Oh right, I do need all metal. That's fine. You know what? Let's put the wood in there too. Why not? Okay. Well, I mean, so I will like 100% say I will 100% be sure that there are probably some of those games that were in stuff on AVGN on the show somewhere. Uh, because it's not all the challenges that are just for good games. In fact, there are some people have played cruel tricks on others, And so there's even a few like ROM hacks on the show. It's not common, but there's like there is the NES version of Sonic the Hedgehog, except with Mario, called Samari, on there. It is not a particularly good game, but it's one of those like examples of some just random trash that somebody's like made challenges for and submitted to the show. But there's definitely some of those like not like super bad games, but there are a bunch of those janky old games on there. Um, there is a group. I don't know that the I don't have a. If you ever get the notion, you could always go to his Twitch TV and go into. I think he might have there's another group that does nothing but run those sorts of like AVG and like trash games, um, called Cuso Grande. Or you probably just look up Crusoe Grande. I bet they've got all their stuff archived too. Crusoe Grande is basically just, hey, some people have found really bad games. We're gonna throw them at people like unexpectedly. Like, here's this thing, you've got to play it now. Oh, look, it's some obscure game that like you have to figure out how to play as you're playing it because there's no instructions. Everything's jank. But yeah, I mean it's for folks that are into retro games. If you're not, it's all good. It is just the thing that uh, when I first started streaming, that was pretty much what we did a lot of. Most of what we streamed was us just making those challenges for the show. So we would play a lot of just retro games and go, yeah, I think I can make this work for the show. Yeah, the cavern is open. So this is that kobold, I think. Yeah. I noticed that for whatever reason, I've seen this guy come in here and there, and he's just a representative, but I don't know of what. I don't think he has a title. He's been outcast a bunch. Oh, no, he's the ringleader. Okay, no, not okay. I mean, I there was one guy I remember spotting. He was the like he was actually like the head boss, or he was like the gang boss or something. It said like he was the um. Maybe it is this guy. It might actually be this guy. He was a member of the Grizzly Bite, got outcast from it, came back, became the ringleader for it, then got thrown out again. I I always love those sorts of things. You're sitting here going like, what happened to this guy? Sorry, what happened to this woman, this kobold woman, to where she got thrown out? She was part of a gang, got thrown out of the gang, came back, took over the gang, was in charge of the gang, and then got thrown out again. Like, I. And then I see. I assume that they are. She's like kept her title of representative from being outcast from this Tooth of Rocks group, and she's just still kept it because she's had that a few times. I, like I said, unfortunately, this fortress has always had problems with tantrums and people being angry, and it's just from the very beginning. So many people like, where's my get to my uh, is it deeper? There it is. Like this is my tomb, and all of these are full. I'm still building more. Like I've lost so many people this fortress to this point, and it just and it started early. Like I said, I want to say I lost like 3 of the initial 7 people, and from there, like it always has just been very, very, very everybody angry time, and that's why I went through the trouble of digging out that reservoir. I literally dug all this out just so I could have a waterfall generator just right here. It's not the most effective waterfall generator, but this is a pretty like main staircase. So, they get hit with mist. They're happy about it, but it requires me to drain this well out, into the depths. So I'm constantly flooding this section of the cavern with water. That's why all this mud is here. Like they're just throwing water down into the depths of the world. Cavefish, hey. But yeah, I will save it and I will call it a night, because I've been sitting here for 20 minutes talking about closing out and then getting distracted and doing more. I should probably just save it so I can save it now and not have it crash again. uh, go. Um, you can. So what you can do is, wait, so what you can technically do is, if you get into even just a light aquifer and dig out a space, like if you just dig out like this room, so let's say you dig out a space like this and it's in a light aquifer and you wall it off, that space will fill up. It'll eventually fill to like full. Um, what you could, what you can technically do, this is kind of what this is. It's kind of what this is doing, like without having to divert the river. If this was just the aquifer area and your aquifer level was just dumping into this space, you could put in floodgates, like dig into it, and then you can empty that water out with floodgates into grates like this, and you can drop that water multiple levels down. And so long as you're moving that water down through grates like this, it'll generate mist. It won't generate it particularly fast, mind you. Uh, like even just a light aquifer, like it'll like this will fill up on its own if this was all light aquifer. It just takes a while, and it wouldn't be the most effective way to do it. But if you don't have a river on your map, that's like really the only way you're gonna do it. Is just fill a source with water somewhere. If you get really advanced, you could theoretically like go down into the caverns down here and grab this water out of the caverns. You could make a pump system and pump this water up out. So, like, you could come in here, go above it, and pump the water from down below out, pump it all the way, like, up. Again, very complicated stuff. You would have to, like, make a series of pumps that would drag it up high enough to where you could dump it back down and create the waterfall. So you could, like, physically pump this water out of here, like, up through the fortress to a central spot, dump it back down, and have it dump all the way back out into that same, like, reservoir down here. So you'd basically could just be recycling this water back and forth, creating a waterfall. But that takes a lot more effort. It would take a lot of. You'd need to make a lot of water pumps, and you would probably need to set up windmills on the surface, set up a network of uh, what are they called? Instructions. No. Machine. You would need to set up like axles. So you would have to move. Yeah, the axles. You would need to transfer the mechanical energy from the water or from the windmills down all the way down to the pumps. You would just need to set up like a big series of pumps to channel all this water out of here up above where you want to put the water, or where you want the waterfall down into, and then you'd have to set up the grates so that the water goes back down to where it's coming from. So, like I said, if you were to build it here, you could pump the water up through from this layer here up. It says the pump always moves the water one Z level up. You just have to constantly like pump it up to the next level, up to this reservoir here, next level to this reservoir here, so on and so on and so forth. And you'd have to make a big setup for axles. I think it's literally just axles. Actually, don't think. Or well, you know what? I think you actually could. Um, no, you can't build. Okay, you can't build pipes. Never mind. For some reason, I thought there was like you could build pipe sections, but maybe they never implemented stuff. I was gonna say maybe they've implemented pipes and you could just put. Okay, so there are pipe sections. I think those are just parts for the pump though. I don't think you can actually hook up pump or pipe sections themselves. Right? Am I forgetting things? Yeah. And then there's rail tracks, which I never mess with. I would like to some point, but because that would be an actual faster way to transfer stuff back and forth, um, rather than rather than haul stone all the way up and down from the like bottom of the fortress. If you could set up an entire rail system to do that, like definitely save time, but it's usually just more work. But yeah, I mean, there are ways you can make waterfalls. I do need to check out some of those Kit Fox tutorials. I do remember I do remember seeing some of the early videos from when they were um, like showing off the Steam version before it was out. I remember seeing some of that stuff, and that's kind of what got me into buying it again. Was like, oh, or buying it in the first place because It used to be a free game. Um, was seeing like how much detail there was, how much like just the graphics alone, seeing things that look nice in this sort of, you know, a pixelized way, definitely. And the fact that, you know, now more people would get into the game because so many people wouldn't touch it back when it was just ASCII. You know, especially as complicated as it is, um, like handing them this thing that's just wild menu systems and a bunch of ASCII is probably asking a lot for some people. Like, just, you know, you can't you can't expect moms and dads to be like, oh hey, here's the hot new thing, Dwarf Fortress. Like, they will never figure that. They won't. It'll take some time if they were ever to touch it, and just the look of it alone would just, you know. So, but yeah, I mean, I definitely will need to check out some of that. The only reason I didn't really get too far into it is just like when it starts getting into tutorials about systems, it's like so many of them are just like, oh yeah, I know. And a lot of time, if I'm watching Dwarf Fortress videos, it's usually other people streaming it or other people's vods. Um, I know, like one of the real cool producers, um, is that Krug Smash. If you ever get into like watching Fortress videos, Krug Smash does some real cool stuff because he does artwork for everything, or not for everything. He does artwork for a lot of like the major story events that happen in the fort. Kind of explains like the reasoning for like why he's doing a thing the way he's doing. A lot of it has like a, you know, story purpose, and it's kind of cool that way. It's I would love to do that kind of stuff, but it takes a lot of like foresight into like pushing the narrative right from the beginning, and I don't know. I'm not particularly great at video editing. I'll have to look. I think. Hmm. I seen. I'm trying to remember like which adventure series I've seen. Huh. I know most of the ones I've watched have just been the you know the fortress mode. I know I've seen adventure mode. Don't remember if it was that one about. Hmm. Maybe I'll sit down and watch some tomorrow to refresh myself. My memory these days is um after the last run in with COVID, like my memory has been pretty Swiss cheese. It is like starting to finally kick back in a little bit, but short term memory for a while they're just kind of just but yeah, okay. So anyway, I I should probably get to bed. I should probably pass out because I I know it's gonna be like another hour probably before I fall asleep. So let me send folks over to well, maybe not Doctor. Well, the problem is like most of the guys I know, most of those folks I know are retro streamers. Much appreciated. Thanks for the follow. And like I said, I'm glad to have folks hanging out, chatting about the old fortresses. Um, if I assume you also do some streaming. I will. If you are also doing Dwarf Fortress streaming, then I will also follow just to see if you also do some Dwarf Fortress streaming. You know what? I think let me send folks along to. Hmm. Blatro? I ain't playing Blatro. Petro. Um. I'm gonna send folks along to Dr. Mutagen. He hangs out. He's he's one of the Smite folks, or one of the Arcade Pit helper folks, and he's doing shuffler stuff. They have a big shuffler. They basically take a bunch of uh, various old retro games. They stuff them in a pile. The software randomly switches between them every 5 to 10 minutes, or 5 to 15. I'm not sure what exactly their settings are. They have it set to where it swaps frequently throughout the stream, and basically they're just trying to complete a big giant pile of games, and they don't control when they get to play those games, so they just have to keep playing until they complete them. But again, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for popping in. I will catch you all another evening. I'm gonna get some sleep, hopefully. Let us raid a mutagen. Oh, let me save this game real quick, actually. Save it. I probably shouldn't have messed around in window or in the browser until I'd saved. Keeping fingers crossed I don't break it.